Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Flying North. Recently I had uploaded a video on what are the benefits of getting your PR card. This video would be nothing but an elaboration on that. I will be covering each of those points, what I had shown, much more in detail. So that you'll come to know what are the benefits, how and when you become eligible for them, and how to apply for each of those benefits. So stay tuned. The first benefit was work for any employer. So once you have your PR card, you are free to work for any employer of your choice. Your employer does not need to apply for a separate work permit in order for you to work in his or her company. Vice versa, you are not limited to just one employer. If you want to go and do a second job or even a third job, you are free to do that. I know people who do their 40 hours weekly under one particular employer A, and then probably they do a freelancing job under somebody else, or they're doing a weekend job with some other employer. So you're not limited to the hours in which you work, neither are you limited to working with just one employer. Point number 2, start your own business. So the question is, if you are able to start and set up your own business, why go ahead and work for somebody else? Why go ahead and work for somebody else, right? So in PR card, you have the freedom to go ahead and start your own register and start your own business. Again, you don't need to start a business in your field of specialization. So let's say in case you did your bachelor's in electrical engineering, but you want to go and register and start your business in fashion and design, you are free to do that. Vice versa, you don't need to have a local Canadian or a local citizen as one of your partners in that company. As a PR card, you are free to go ahead and register the company under your name and you are free to go ahead and register the company under your name itself. Now the point number 3, and that is travel visa free to certain countries. When you are a PR card holder, you can get tourist visa on arrival in some countries. That's like the Bahamas, the Caribbean islands, the Panama. But with this said, I must tell you, you cannot travel to US visa free on a PR card. If you are a PR card holder, you have to apply for a tourist visa in order to travel into US. But once you get your citizenship, then you are able to travel visa free inside US. Point number 4, and that is OASP funding. The Canadian government, so the Ontario government is actually giving funds in forms of either loans or grants in order for their residents to continue their education. So if you want to study in any universities out here, either be it full time or be it part time, you can be eligible for certain limit in the OASP. The OASP funding largely depends on what kind of family income you have. So if you and your spouse are working, you have dependents living with you inside your family. Those dependents can be your parents, they can even be your children. So based on these criteria, OASP will calculate how much of grant you are eligible for. When you are a newly landed immigrant in Canada, there are very high chances that you are still looking for a job, or at the same time, the job that you've got could be an entry-level job. I strongly advise you to go ahead and use the OASP. I strongly advise you to go ahead and use this OASP opportunity that is provided by the government. It will not only help you in your education, but at the same time, you will be able to get a local Canadian college name in your resume, and you are also able to network over there via the students in your class and the professors. So if you are a newly landed immigrant and if you're thinking of wanting to join the course, do go ahead, check up the OASP website. You will see a list of universities over there and the courses under which they are eligible for, and please go ahead and apply for them. Also, the other point is, there have been conversations happening for the past few years saying that the government is planning to discontinue the OASP. But during the pandemic, the exact reverse happened. The government introduced much more courses under the OASP umbrella. They've included much more colleges and universities that they had not done during the pre-pandemic. The next point is sponsor your spouse and your children. So once you become a PR card holder, you are eligible to sponsor your spouse and your child to get their PR card. Once your spouse attains his or her PR card, they are eligible to get entirely the exact same benefits as you are getting under your PR card. The second point about your children, once they are on the PR card, they are again eligible for the free healthcare system, and at the same time they can be enrolled to the schools over here. They can have an tuition free education. The next point is sponsoring your parents and your grandparents. Yes, like in many other countries where they don't let you bring your parents or your grandparents thinking that they are an aged population, that's not the case in Canada. You are eligible to sponsor your parents and your grandparents, but there are few restrictions. So you have to submit 3 years of your tax return while you are putting in your application, and there is a certain income criteria that you need to meet. So here's a chart over here I've put up that shows, like, depending upon the amount of family members that you have and the income that you have, how many people can you sponsor from your home country. And at the same time, like unlike your spouse visa, there is no limit to the amount of spousal PR card that the Canadian government gives. But for the parents and grandparents, there is a cap of 30,000 every year that the government puts out. So usually these seats are opened in the month of October, and they keep the applications open for around 3 to 4 days, where you have to go in, submit an application saying that you are planning to sponsor maybe 1 person, 2 person, or even 4 people. They do a lottery system. Once the application is closed, they do a lottery system where 30 applications are picked randomly, and then we proceed with then they proceed with asking you to submit your tax returns for the past 3 years to prove that you have sufficient fund to sponsor once they come here. So the process is very lengthy. You can get your spouse or your child visa within a year, but for your parents and grandparents, you may have to wait for almost 24 months till they actually get their PR card. The other point is international fees. Once you are a PR card holder, you are actually considered a resident of Canada. And when you're going to apply for university, you actually pay the resident fees and not the international student fees. So over here, again, there's a chart that's put up that shows you what is the different kinds of fee structure that they ask if you are a resident of Canada and if you are an international student. I also know cases where a person had taken his PR card just in order to come here and do the MBA, because when he did the calculation, he realized the amount of money that he spends on getting his PR card, coming here and doing the course under a resident, he will still be saving a lot of money than coming here and doing it under an international student. So there are also cases like this that people do where they try to get the PR card in order to have a very subsidized fees. And the next point is the healthcare system. Again, in Canada, you are eligible for free healthcare, but I have to tell you that not everything is free. There are certain tests that you still need to pay out of your pocket, and there are certain operations that don't get covered under the healthcare. But the bare minimum, but the basic things that you require, most of them are covered under the free healthcare program. So this is why when you get an offer letter from an employer and the employer says that they are offering healthcare plan, they have a healthcare plan, and do you want to enroll? Most of these times, these healthcare plans are a premium version of the healthcare that is not being covered under the free government program. So if you have an employer that offers you the healthcare, do go ahead and take it, because things like dental, vision, and certain kind of critical illness don't usually get covered under the government plan. And the final point, and that is move freely. So if you have come to that is move freely. Being a PR card holder, you have the freedom to move from one state to another completely freely without any restrictions. So let's say you are somebody who's living in Manitoba and you get a job offer in Ontario, or you want to just relocate to Ontario and search for a job. You are completely free to relocate yourself and your family from one state to another. So I hope with this I am able to give you a little bit of elaboration on what are the benefits that you have in the PR card. If you feel that there were some additional points that I could have included and I have not, please do let me know in the comments below so that it can be helpful for other people who are watching this video. Till then, stay tuned, stay safe. Thank you.